Good evening, Nigeria. Welcome to another exciting episode of The Issues, a Voice of the People TV, where we bring you the most important and pressing issues shaping our nation today. I am your host, Jerry Apeliohan, and tonight we'll be diving deep into major developments in the Nigerian polity. Stay with us as we analyze these critical issues with our team of expert panel, and this is a conversation you won't want to miss. We begin the show today where IPOB denies link to Ahmed Gulak's murder, calling the government claim desperate and dishonest. They demand Nnamdi Kanu's immediate release, citing unlawful detention. Meanwhile, Kanu's trial is being adjourned to May 2021 to 22nd of this month 2025. Away from that, talking insecurity, where Boko Haram is said to be using armed drones in Borno State similar to those used in Israel and Ukraine, according to the Nigerian army. A civil society group is, however, calling on the government to address the root causes of terrorism, including poverty and corruption, and to identify sponsors of terrorist groups. And still more, JAMB, this time around to the education sector, where JAMB reveals 96% of A-level results submitted to Bayero University Kanu are fake. Only 6 out of the 148 results are genuine. JAMB urges institutions to verify documents to prevent fraudulent admissions. All right, after this short break, we'll dig deeper into these critical topics and more. Don't go away. Welcome back. Let's now dive straight into today's discussion. We started off with the indigenous people of Biafra. IPOB has condemned the Nigerian government's attempt to link its leader Nnamdi Kanu to the murder of Ahmed Gulak, a former aide of ex-president Goodluck Jonathan. IPOB described the government's actions as a desperate and dishonest attempt to deflect attention from the collapse of their case against the Kanu. The group pointed out that Gulak was killed on May 30, 2021, while IPOB's sit-at-home observance was held on May 31, 2021 to honor Biafra Remembrance Day, making it impossible for IPOB to be involved in Gulak's death. In a related development, the Federal High Court in Abuja has adjourned Kanu's trial to May 21 and 22, 2025, due to the unavailability of critical documents needed by the defense team to continue the cross-examination of a prosecution witness. Kanu's special counsel, Barrister Aloy Ejimako, stated that the cross-examination was very detailed, very aggressive, and very comprehensive, but could not be concluded due to the absence of certain documents. IPOB has renewed its demand for Kanu's immediate and unconditional release, describing him as a prisoner of conscience who has been unlawfully detained in violation of local and international law. The group has also called on local and international media to uphold journalistic integrity and verify court proceedings independently rather than parroting government propaganda. All right, today I'm delighted to be joined by a very interesting esteemed guest here in the studio. We have Mr. Peter Anosike. Mr. Anosike is a philosopher, development economist, and best-selling author. He is also an erudite commentator on economy, finance, politics, and power. Great to have you join us on this.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. And of course, joining us virtually is Elder Lekia Christian, is a public affairs analyst, a social justice crusader, and President, Niger Delta Coalition Against Violence. It's great to have you, Elder Lekia, on the issues this evening.
Yeah, well,
All right. Okay, I believe I must have heard you there, but trying to introduce yourself. But let's go over to our other virtual guest who's joining us all the way from Sierra Leone. Mr. Chris Paul Otaigbe is a public affairs analyst and an international correspondent. Great to have you join us from Sierra Leone.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be back.
Yeah, it's been a while. How is Sierra Leone treating you?
Well, it's great. He's doing what he knows best, treating me well. My God is.
At least you're not experiencing high tariffs and fuel increase and so on and so forth.
No. But there's more here. Monkeypox is the only problem we have now.
All right. I don't know whether okay, let me start with you, Mr. Chris, before I go to Daleke and of course take Mr. Anosike.
Yeah.
Taking a look at the twist in this case, as far as bringing the Gulak's mother and trying to paint it as use it as a yardstick by the talking about the prosecuting counsel of the government against Nnamdi Kanu, and now IPOB is coming to challenge that. What do you make of all of this twist that is beginning to happen in the Nnamdi Kanu's trial?
Nnamdi Kanu's case. Well, I believe that now, whatever they are called, I don't have any Gulak's death. That Ahmed Gulak, the twist is maybe somebody's brainwave. Because Ahmed Gulak happened in 2021 or thereabout, and around the time, Nnamdi Kanu, I guess, was brought down here within the years of time, and Gulak was never in that case, was never in the radar of this. How come it came suddenly? Did somebody sleep and dreamt of it? I don't think so. I just believe that the government's looking for every way possible to nail not to one charge that he cannot escape from. They've exhausted most of the charges filed. Really, this case for me is getting messier and messier by the day. Just like cases before, like that of the former NSA during Jonathan time, during during each government has people like this. What I was that was the Buhari's Jonathan's NSA that they pounded and pounded. Name. This Abacha NSC so each of them will always have one person they pound during time in office. I think for Tinubu it might just be Nnamdi Kanu, I don't know. But on the more serious note, this case for getting messier and messier by the day and no headway as I'm concerned. Ahmed Gulak seems to be a fancy excuse to continue to incarcerate Nnamdi Kanu, which should have been a long time.
Okay, we can
say about it.
All right, Mr. Chris, we can barely hear you due to the network glitch that coming from your end, and I don't know whether we also have the same thing with the Lekia Christian. And the Lekia Christian, let me take the question to you. With the twist in this case, what does this say about the way this case is going? Is it tilting towards having Nnamdi Kanu in a prolonged detention for the foreseeable future, or are we going to see a situation where justice will be carried out in at the end of the day in determining where this case is going to end?
Considering the current experience area on the years, you agree with me that is a very sensitive issue that requires a lot of honesty and a clear test of integrity of the judiciary. All the parties are advancing their position on every If you take long, and he has been incarcerated for a long period, all of that principles, but considering the weight of the allegations, I think that all the and
all right, Lekia, we can also barely hear you due to the technical glitch that's quite worrisome. I hope we'll be able to resolve that and reconnect back with you guys. But let's now go to Mr. Nnamdi here with us in the studio due to the fact that we are face to face. But let's look at this case. And you know, I made mention of the fact that is there a twist in all of this? Now it looks like the DSS and the government has brought up the death of Gulak. And what a way to coincide with the 30th of May Remembrance Day that has been planned by IPOB, and the asking of WAEC should postpone the date, and all of a sudden they are bringing Gulak's situation to coincide with this same day. Of course, there have been questions that you just said, okay, this didn't happen on the 29th, and on the 30th was the day. That's what IPOB is telling us, that there's no way Gulak would have come with the crossfire of IPOB on this same day, because
there's nothing like crossfire of IPOB. There's nothing like crossfire of IPOB.
Okay. Please educate us, because there's things we don't know.
One, even if Gulak was killed on that day, understand? Even if Gulak was killed on that day, does that mean that it was IPOB members that killed him? Understand me?
Okay.
One, if they say that it's IPOB, there are armed robbers everywhere. There are kidnappers everywhere. Understand me? So that's to start with. What was Gulak's mission to Owerri? Do you know that Gulak came in disguise? Are you aware of that? That he disguised himself coming to Owerri. Understand? He wore a face cap and a track suit. Unlike him, he used a face cap to cover his face. Mind you, Gulak conducted a factional primary for Hope Uzodinma. Why another person conducted for Okrocha and his in-law. Understand me? So after Gulak said that Hope Uzodinma won. He went to Abuja. Understand me? Waited for Uzodinma to come and fulfill a deal. Nothing was coming. He sneaked into Owerri. Mind you, the vehicle that he was shot, it was only him that was there. That it was not only him that was in that vehicle. Why was only him singled out? He came to visit Uzodinma. How did IPOB know that he was in Owerri and he was on his way to the airport? How did IPOB know? How was it that it was only him that was shot dead inside that vehicle, while there were 3 other people? IPOB members, what grounds, assuming that it's IPOB, what grounds do they have with Ahmed? He came on a separate mission. Understand me? So even if he was killed on the day of sit at home, and the people who killed him were caught, they have to bring a IPOB membership card to make sure that the names of those people are inside those membership, are inside that register. Understand me? If you arrest somebody and accuse him of being a student of a school, you have to go to the school, bring their register, and confirm if his or her name is there. Understand? So that some people were arrested for maybe killing Gulak's, and you now say that they are IPOB members. Were they carrying IPOB ID cards? Is their name in IPOB registration book? So for me,
are non-state actors now having registration books and wearing ID cards about with AK-47?
So you know what non-state actors do?
Non-state actors who are involved in banditry and terrorism don't brandish ID cards.
Then how do you know where they are from? How do you know where they are from? Why do you call them?
Have you seen a man with an AK-47 wearing ID cards? If it's not a police officer,
why do you call them?
DSS?
Why do you call them IPOB? So there are no more armed robbers in Owerri.
They are armed robbers.
There are no more kidnappers in Owerri.
Of course they are.
So whatever happens in Imo, it's a IPOB.
What the DSS, the DSS witness actually said was that this death actually happened during the sit-at-home. This IPOB is saying that
it wasn't. He wasn't killed
on the sit-at-home day.
He was not killed on the sit-at-home day. So this is, they're just trying to
pinch him,
to build a story that cannot stand. There's no foundation to their story, and it will collapse like a pack of cards. Understand me? One, it's not everybody that killed another person is an IPOB member. You have to prove that they are IPOB members. Understand me? They have already set a precedent that will continue to haunt them. They said that Hope also the mass people who defected from PDP to APC, that their name is not in APC registration papers. So you cannot call anybody an IPOB member if his name is not in their registration book.
Does IPOB have a registration book that we are not
aware of? That's the only way to prove. Understand me? But the issue is this.
Are we not referring to IPOB as a political party?
There should be cross-examination.
Yes, that is not left for the council.
And they cannot defend this.
What about missing documents? Because now they say the cross-examination could not continue due to the documents being missing. Are we saying that the both council were not properly informed or properly prepared ahead of the witness who was going to come to testify in court?
If you bring how court works, understand me, every paper served must be given to the opposite person. Understand me? So if the Kanu, the good team, documents are not served to them, they have to give a day for it to be served. So for me, the document that they are looking for, maybe they were not served. That could be why this adjournment was given, for those documents to be served. DSS is just a figment of their imagination. There's no way they can build this story. Understand me? There's no way they can build this story. You don't convict somebody that's with a hearsay. Understand me? Even if they were killed by IPOB members, understand? Did they say that it is Nnamdi Kanu that sent them?
So he's the leader of IPOB. Whatever IPOB does as the leader, he should take responsibility.
Okay. Tinubu is the president of Nigeria.
Yes.
So if I kill somebody, they should go and arrest him, because he is the president of Nigeria and I am a Nigerian. So it doesn't make case. It doesn't. It has no meaning. It has no meaning.
The thing is that, let's look at this. There's been pressure to the release of Nnamdi Kanu, and now the twist of the trial is that they're trying to build a case against him. Does this show that the government has any plan of releasing Nnamdi Kanu very soon, if they are bringing up a case of the death of Ahmed Gulak's in a prosecution
they want to establish a case. They want to establish a case.
Is it to keep him for a longer period?
No, excuse me. No, it's like football. Every coach wants to win his match. Understand me? DSS want to prove their case, but they don't have concrete evidence. So what they're now acting is on their imagination, going fishing for evidence. You understand me? Going fishing for evidence. And the story that they want to build cannot stand under cross-examination. So it doesn't make any meaning.
Okay, IPOB have accused the Nigerian media of amplifying state propaganda. And in your view, is the media complicit in distorting the truth, or are they constrained by national security pressures?
The issue is we now have lazy journalists. We now have lazy journalists everywhere. Journalists who wait for press statements to be given to them. Understand me? So what they are writing is what the DSS, the Nigerian state, give to them. They are no more investigating. Understand me?
But that's unfair. If IPOB,
They are no more investigating. Do you know how many soldiers that were killed in Borno? Do you know? This Boko Haram invaded a military formation, slaughtered people. But the media is waiting for the spokesman of the army to give them the number of soldiers that were killed. That's what you have not heard the
actual number
number, because they are depending on government, on soldiers to give them, which they can never give you credible information.
But in this case, we all know how porous the barracks is and how volatile the security situation in the barracks would be after such an arson must have taken place. How does the media have access if, for instance, we are talking about the military barracks, we're not talking about the civilian space.
How did those Boko Haram enter there?
Boko Haram entered there through force and use of sophisticated weapons in this case. The media only has the pen and only deals with information they have. Because now, it's good that IPOB is now talking about the Nigerian media. If the Nigerian media has been biased and not been able to bring the stories of what is actually on ground out, will IPOB have...
It is social media that is helping IPOB.
Are you saying the
It is
Nigerian
social media that is helping IPOB.
This platform is also a media platform, for instance.
It is.
And whatever information that is available to it, it's been amplified. Being IPOB or the government or whatever platform is coming from or not.
Do you know that the traditional media is in the hands of the ruling party? Are you aware of it?
How many platforms of the Nigerian media are truly in the hands of
Are
the
you? Let me begin that to tell you.
All right, tell us.
Nation is owned by Kanu. Tinubu. Are you aware?
Very much.
Tinubu is a shareholder in Punch. Are you aware? Kanu owns the Sun newspaper. Ibori in APC owns Daily Independence. Understand? Then Ndoka Obebuna is. The same thing with the radios and the TVs. Why VOP is on the side of the people is because the owner is not a politician. The owner does not work is not looking for a contract from government. So that's why you are getting independent views from VOP. Understand me? So the legacy media, the traditional media are in the hands of the members of APC. Understand me? So they cannot write anything that will be against the interests of their paymasters.
Anyway, talking about ownership of the media has always been an issue. But when a particular body will want to take swipe at the media and not considering all those who are also making sure that there's fair play, that will not be accepted.
We thank God for social media. Otherwise, Nigeria would have been worse than North Korea.
All right, let's now go over to Mr. Chris, if he's still with us. Taking a look at this situation and the situation of Nnamdi Kanu, and now that the case has been postponed to the 21st and 22nd of this month, the body language of the government and the way this case is going, are we going to see Nnamdi Kanu released anytime soon? Or is it like the government still has a plan to keep hold of him? This is a man who has been in detention since 2021.
Well, I don't hear me first. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes. So I don't see. I don't applaud keep that guy incarcerated, keep him in prison as long as they can. If the as we saw, we have now, Gulak's calculation falls flat on its face, they have to find something. Want him out of there, and something happens except the president finds a reason that ties hands. Is when this guy will have his freedom. But since now it looks like they want to give him freedom. And don't forget, it's the same APC government, and the same sentiment between two tribes, Northerners and Yoruba. The guy was a Northern guy now, and two of them don't like the Igbos. That is, I'm sorry to say, the fact. At their politics, and that is what they have, on this guy. Because things that I believe they are applying on him, because this might be so sensitive, but then it is the truth at the core of it, in the corridors of powers that matter. But on the surface of it, yes, it's been accused of and all of things. But I don't think those charges, even though however, do not like Nnamdi Kanu's style of activism of action, but he's a citizen of the country still.
Okay, let me now go to Mr. Anosike. I would have loved to hear from Edalikia, but it seems like we're having some bit of technical glitch. We're hearing from them. Taking a look at the continued detention of Nnamdi Kanu, and we've also seen the detention as well, the arrest of, talking about the man in exile, the Prime Minister in exile.
That's
the self-Prime Minister in exile, who is in Finland.
Or the content creator in exile.
Now, taking a look at
the extortionist.
With the continued detection of these leaders, would it radicalize
leaders
of this movement? Okay, let's say Nnamdi Kanu, for instance. Let me particularly talk about Nnamdi Kanu. Would this continued detention radicalize more Southeast youth, potentially escalating the conflict, or would it solve the problem with the way things are going?
Let me tell you, if Nnamdi Kanu is not doing this, somebody else will have been doing it. Understand me? If Nnamdi Kanu is not doing what he's doing now, another person would have been doing it. If Nelson Mandela did not do what he did for South Africa, some other person would have done it. Understand me? So, Nnamdi Kanu is presently occupying the space. So, the only way to dismantle Nnamdi Kanu is for government to start doing the right thing. Understand me? Once we begin to experience equal treatment in Nigeria, never let live in Nigeria. Understand? Once they stop hating and discriminating against the Igbos, understand? The followers of Nnamdi Kanu will automatically die down. The followers, those following Nnamdi Kanu will automatically, they will say there's no need for this. But once that injustice remains in the open, an instance, every geopolitical zone in the country has 6 states, and only Southeast has 5. So there's no way any genuine Igbo man will be happy. I say genuine. Understand me? So even if you are, whatever you are doing, it will be paining you in your subconscious. The 3R that Govt declared in 1970, rehabilitation, reconstruction, and reconciliation, has not been carried out from 1970 up to today. So Igbos have not been accepted fully into this country.
The question
So
is,
if Nnamdi Kanu is not doing this, some other person will have been doing it.
so which region has been fairly treated in this country?
Which
Yes,
region?
because now the injustice they're saying is particularly.
I'm giving you a say only Southeast has the 5 states. Others have 6. What does that show you? You are from South. South has 6. Southwest has 6. All the geopolitical zones have 6. So you have nothing to. There's no
Is that a
logic.
basis to say
Igbos are
there's
hated by the
injustice?
Nigerian state.
Does that mean that the Igbos are hated if they have 5 states?
We are hated. We are hated. And the hatred is what is keeping Nigeria down. And Nigeria will never move forward until they have a mind shift. The countries that were at par with Nigeria in the 70s, China, Indonesia, Singapore, Brazil, South Korea, all of them have moved forward. Only Nigeria is still there.
But the Igbos are still doing well economically in Nigeria.
Self-help. Self-help. Understand me? An Igbo man had that can-do spirit. We can squeeze out water from stone.
But the way the Nigerian society is, self-help, fine. What about the environment, the peace and the tranquility the Igbos have enjoyed?
Enjoy where?
Okay, let's say for Lagos and other
enjoy
states.
where?
Yeah, allowed to do business, you have said. At least the Igbos have been allowed to do business in any part of the
Allowed.
country. Yeah.
So
And they've not been stopped
are they
as-
doing us
as-
favor?
Fine, they are not being done any favor. Yes, you are doing well for yourself.
I
A lot
say
of people
se-
are still
I
making
say-
billions, are
I
billionaires
say
in this same Nigeria.
self-help. They have done what Hitler did to the Jews is what this Nigerian state is doing to the Igbos. But as Hitler could not subdue the Jews, that's why the Nigerian state have not subdued the Igbos.
And let me now go to Lekia, who's with us. Let's see if he'll be able to join us successfully. Taking a look at the situation, we're just talking about the case of Nnamdi Kanu. What's the body language of the government with the way the case is going? Is Nnamdi Kanu going to see freedom anytime soon, or it looks like he's going to be there for a long period of time?
I think anybody in that can be competent, or predicting the scenario. And that's one of the greatest challenges we are facing as a nation. If we look at them, we talked about a nation where it will be dignified, and that's what I expect. So for us, nobody will be talking about it if there was this issue of judiciary. People ordinarily waited for the outcome of the court process.
Yes.
Be it may, Nigerians should be subjected to any kind of climate that will not allow to freely express in whatever form, whether economically, socially, justly, or other. So, the Igbos have a right, the right to state this very clearly. And what I feel the Nigerian state can do this time, that national unity, because we have been challenged. There are security issues on every flank of the nation, ethnic flank. Look at what's going on Plateau, Benue. Look at what's going on look at what's going on in the southeast. And you can't somebody who is pain, who is suffering, who is in anguish, crying. So they are only expressing themselves. But I believe that the leadership of this, particularly those who are the angle of justice, to serve with a good meal of justice to everybody your tribe. So that's what allowing the situation to be predicted will reduce the hope. The hope of the Igbos will look dim. So I expect the judiciary to have risen, to the occasion. And you look at the security agency prosecuting that case now, the onions of proof is on them for them to show the world that actually Nnamdi Kanu is responsible for the death of Gulak or whatever. Gulak was a Nigerian. Nnamdi Kanu is still a Nigerian, no matter his way or manner of expressing himself and presenting issues which some of us were not very comfortable with. But everybody cannot be wrong. I expect that they should have risen above all of that to ensure that they deal with the issue and deliver justice on the basis of merit and not on the basis of where he or she comes from.
All right, definitely. Now it's now the test of the judiciary. Do you have faith in the judiciary to carry out its responsibilities free and fair?
Excuse me. My friend is saying that Igbo's hope may be dimmed. Understand me? Igbos are like gold. We have gone through the furnace. Understand me? For 3 years, world powers came against us. For 3 years, world powers, Britain, France, Russia, all of them came against us. At the end of the war, no matter how much you have in the bank, you were given 20 pounds. Today, what happens? Today, what happened? That 20 pounds has turned into billions. Obasanjo was in Onitsha, 1977. He saw upstairs everywhere. He went to Onitsha to commission a project, 1977. He said, nobody will believe that 7 years ago that all this area were raised down. 7 years after the war. Understand? So we have seen the worst, and we survive it. Understand me? As I say, as long as they keep the Igbo man down, Nigeria will never move forward.
All right, let's leave this conversation now. Let's move to the next, where the Nigerian army has confirmed that Boko Haram terrorists in Borno State are using armed drones similar to those deployed in countries like Israel and Ukraine. Major General Abdulsalam Abubakar, theater commander of Operation Hadin Kai, disclosed this during a briefing, warning that the drones are difficult to detect using conventional radar systems. Meanwhile, the civil society group, Prayer and Support for Nigerian Armed Forces, has called on the Nigerian government to address the root causes of terrorism, including poverty, inequality, and corruption. The group condemned recent terrorist attacks in Borno State and urged the government to identify and apprehend saboteurs and sponsors of terrorist groups. The group commended the Nigerian military for its bravery in fighting back against the terrorists, but emphasized the need for collective responsibility in identifying and isolating criminal elements. The military has also been reorganizing and reassessing its strategy to counter the evolving tactics of the terrorists, including their use of armed drones. Let me now go to Mr. Chris Paul Otaigbe. Taking a look at this situation, my question is, why now? Why does it look like this reinforcement from this terrorist group against the Nigerian state? And all of a sudden, they now have sophisticated weapons, and the military is admitting to it. Where does that now leave the ordinary civilians? If the military could be attacked with this so-called sophisticated weapons, what will happen if they attack a village tomorrow? Mr. Chris, are you with us?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Sorry, I muted before. What I want to say is that thank God for this Burkina Faso drama. We now know how it works. They validated everything I've been telling you. This is not Nigerian. These are not terrorists. These are not normal insurgents. These are governments. backing miscreants, propping them up into ragtag armies and making them sophisticated through sophisticated weapons to supply to them. Now that they have gone to armed drones, I don't know what will happen to Nigeria. See, I don't care what anybody says, but the truth will be told. Must be told. The Western demons that are backing Tinubu, because Tinubu is obviously looking the other way. He has no choice but to look the other way. What the question you should be asking now is, okay, because we are used to the terrorism, but we now know that behind the terrorism, something else is going on. They are stealing our mineral. They are doing so. What is that thing they are doing now that they are open? That's the next question. How about what's the terrorism? Why do they need to bolster the terrorists with this sophisticated level of weapons? What I suspect, and I'll tell you my conspiracy theory, my brother, is that they want to use Nigeria and Ivory Coast as a launch pad to deal with the AES people, two, learning from their experience to find a way to weaken directly every West African country under their hold, every African country under their hold. That's why they can put a Tinubu who never won an election, who is a criminal, proven, documented, who they know will be subservient to their evil agenda. That is what is going on. Let us not deceive ourselves. This is not about terrorism. Don't be fooled. Was terrorism not in Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali? But that young man cleared those terrorists. Thanks to Putin, who's been helping him. I thought that guy is the only one who had armed drones, Akinci. But now I can see that you now have armed drones coming to Nigeria. Something sinister is about to happen. Trust me. This one is beyond Nigerian army. Forget it, too. Nigerian armies, I don't think they have these drones. They are planning something sinister. And that thing, when it happens, I just pray that they don't turn Nigeria into a theater of war, which is almost likely the way they are going.
All right.
This is war on Nigerian military. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chris. However, I would like to point out that these are just the views of Mr. Chris Polo-Tagbe and not the views of VOP TV, as the case is. These are just his own personal views. But Mr. Anosike, taking a look at this situation, why now? Why does it look like Boko Haram is reinforcing?
Whenever an election is near, there's always more tension in the country. But for me, for Nigerian army to admit that these guys are now using drones like that of Israel and Ukraine, everybody should panic. Because these are in Kanuri, where Boko Haram started, most of them could not read and write. Most of them could not read and write. They are it's just this Muhammad Yusuf, their founder. It was Ahmed Jeris that he was bringing, and they were citing Quran and famine. Understand me? They have nothing to do with education. So what training? Where did they go for them to now be manning drones? Understand me? What training did these people who did not go to school, where did they go for the training to now be using sophisticated weapons and manning drones like the one in Israel and Ukraine? So it's now means that Nigerian army is not even afraid of them. For them to admit that they have a superior fire weapon, they have superior technology. It means that a lot of things are happening which we don't know. Because I'm sure it is not them that is going out and bringing this. Some people must be supplying it to them and showing them how to operate it. My question remains, why haven't they cleared the Sambisa for more than 15 years now?
We even made aware that the Kanu jets are not really that effective. That somehow it looks like, I don't know, maybe Nigeria was played in the acquiring of those Kanu jets.
Why haven't they cleared the Sambisa and made it a military zone since? Because once they don't have anywhere to hide, what would they do? For me, there's corruption in this fight. Understand me? Some people are making money from these insurgents, and that's why it has not ended.
All right, well, press for time.
And the more sophisticated, the more money they will be making.
All right, and we're pressed for time. And JAM seems to be in the news, whether for the wrong reasons right now, because we already know that even I just read recently that JAM released a statement that some centers were sabotaged, and that is why some results were not really what it should be. But JAM has, however, revealed that 96% of A-level results submitted to Bayero University Kanu for direct entry admission in 2024 were fake. Out of 148 results, only 6 were genuine, while 142 were forged. This was discovered during routine verification. Mr. Chris, just in 1 minute, what does this say about our education system? If direct entry, we're not even talking about A-level students, people direct entry, we're talking about people who would have gotten one form of admission on the other, and of course, want to further. Lekia, that's for you, Mr. Christian Lekia, in 1 minute.
Okay, you see, all of this, it tells you the kind of nation that we are in. It also reveals that JAM's inability to have managed that exam properly. You know, if they were unable to manage the process, whatever that is happening now is an afterthought. Because people legitimately enrolled for those exams, wrote them, scores were given, allotted, and admitting now that there was failure in the process is just to show that they were unable to manage this process. And watch out, there's going to be very serious litigation. It's just that compromises from the hallowed chamber, the judiciary, might lead a lot of people into their early graves. Because a lot of people with aspiration who wanted to aspire to higher education are pursuing all of that.
All right.
And their hope is being dimmed under the circumstances. It's painful. It's very, very painful.
All right. I want to say thank you, Mr. Lekia Christian, of course, Chris Paul Otagwe, for being a part of the issues this evening. It's been a pleasure having you guys.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good night rest. And of course, Mr. Nnamdi,
And you.
it's also a pleasure having your insights on the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and that's how we wrap it up for tonight's episode of the Issues on Voice of the People TV. I will hope you've enjoyed the conversation proper so far, beg your pardon, and we'll continue to monitor the development closely. We hope you stay engaged and informed. Remember, your voice matters. Stay involved and keep the conversation going. I am Jerry on Apelihai, and this has been the Issues on Voice of the People TV. Good night, Nigeria.